radioactive quanta extract. Quanta-Cola, the drink for today's youth. Be cool, be in. Drink Quanta-Cola, the happiness drink. Health warning, abuse of Quanta-Cola can...
Alright, that's enough relaxation. Back to the grind. Let's head to Kazev's gun shop, which is right next to the Enigma gate. Jenna gave us a new mission, which is to locate a secret Tetra factory and blow up the assembly line. Supposedly, the owner of this gun shop can tell us where it is.
What can I do for you?
Like to ask you a few questions.
What do you want from me?
Looking for a certain secret factory. I was told you could help me.
I don't know what you're talking about. Get out of here if you don't want to buy anything.
I'm sure you know what I'm talking about.
If you don't get out of here, I'll have to call the police.
Alright, I'm leaving. No, obviously that's not gonna work. Here's the one place where we can use the truth spell. Where's the secret Tetra factory?
The secret factory is at 2130 Madib Street.
How can I get in there without being noticed?
Don't use the main entrance, it's too well guarded. I've heard of a way in from the sewers, but I don't know exactly where it is.
Where can I find a map of the sewers around here?
In the local bookshop, no doubt.
While I'm here, give me your best weapon and some ammunition. Thanks. Soon as I leave, you forget everything. Okay, for some reason that truth spell turned into hypnosis at the end there. He gives us a Megazooka. So there is a more obvious solution to this puzzle. You can, instead, possess this statuesque lady standing over here.
Do you want a retinal electroprosthesis? A titanium arm? How about a biomechanical penis implant? There's just one way to go. Buy constant biological implants. The lowest prices in Omikron and exceptional service. And if there's ever a problem, we replace the defective part in less than 48 hours. On special now.
So yeah, this is Iman, based on the fashion model and wife of Bowie. She's an escort girl, but her bio says that she's a bodyguard.
Implants you never get rid of.
She's got good stats and an apartment key, but her apartment is in the Lahore sector, which we can't enter yet. Leave that for later. I've got 1 hour free. Perhaps we could while it away together.
What? What do you mean?
If you tell me what I want to know, I may be very nice with you.
Why not? What do you want to know?
Where's the secret Tetra factory?
The secret factory is at 2130 Madib Street.
How can I get in there without being noticed?
Don't use the main entrance, it's too well guarded. I've heard of a way in from the sewers, but I don't know exactly where it is.
Where can I find the map of the sewers around here?
In the local bookshop, no doubt.
Perfect. That's all I wanted to know.
All right. Now I've told you all you wanted to know. It's your turn to respect your promise.
I don't know what you're talking about. Bye-bye, baby. And thanks for the information.
Cow. You stupid cow.
See you soon, Bunny. That was awkward. Let's get prepped for our mission. We'll do some training with Yob to get Iman's fighting level raised.
Take your guard. Let's see if you've made any progress.
From the drugstore near the temple, I'll buy a bunch of medikits to keep me alive.
Yes, can I help you? Goodbye.
The bookstore near the temple sells a plan of the sewers.
Hello. May I get you something?
Also more Dreamers tapes being sold out in the open.
Have a nice day.
So I wouldn't call this a plan of the sewers. In fact, I'd call it a screenshot from the dev tools, but whatever, it tells us the access point to get into the factory. Never call a slider while you're standing in the middle of the road, by the way. In certain spots, it can cause a pileup of cars where the slider that's responding to you is at the back and can't reach you, but you can't move your character until the slider reaches you, so you get a soft crash. So there's the front door of Tetra, but that of course doesn't actually open. We have to get to the water. There we are. Off to the right is the bridge we blew up, and right here is the entrance to the sewers. Again, there's a lever just sticking out of the canal bottom for no reason, and it opens the tunnel next to it. And we're in. Thanks for letting the air meter run while you were loading in this part, game. If you run out of air, your character passes out and revives floating on the surface with their health drained.
Well, did you manage to find the Tetra secret factory?
Yes, it's at 2130 Matip Street. Can't miss it. It's the big building with Tetra written on the front.
Well done. Now explore the factory and explode the Z-Tech production line with the timed detonators. And make it snappy, otherwise you'll have the whole army on your back.
God, she just completely freezes in between lines. For these communicator scenes, they have the character standing in a separate room on the map, so I don't understand why they didn't at least texture that room differently so it doesn't look like she's just standing in the same area.
You can count on me.
Take care.
Don't worry, everything's gonna be all right.
Damn, ate shit.
Accept this modest gift. 3 interlinking rings. The first 2 will save your life. The third will bring you back here.
Alright, thanks, dude. Thanks for giving me a save point in these dangerous showers. Shower fight! Wait, was that guy showering with his towel tied around his waist? Well, I just figured out that pressing one of the sidestep buttons and one of the attack buttons lets you do those crazy grips and throws, so I'll be exploiting the hell out of those. You fight well for a naked man. Oh, I'm gonna throw you over there. damn! There's a total of 3 dudes standing in the showers, but there's no point in challenging all of them. They don't drop anything. Oh, surprise! Tough luck, buddy. I'm a Grandmaster of Tar. Safe. So this guy has a chest tattoo that's on some of the lockers. You can open the one that has the same symbol on it twice. Alright, let's get healed up for the next part. And so we head into the third shootout of Jaunpur, the longest one in the game. This one had me stumped for a long time too. I haven't talked much about how this game tries to do 3 genres in one, but the real problem is how bluntly you can drop from one into the other. You'll be adventuring and suddenly BAM, it's hand-to-hand fighting, or clunk, it's a shooting sequence. There's nothing smooth or easing about it, and the way it locks you out of the inventory and menu hammers home how taped together it is. And they're not very well spaced out over the game either. In the Nekba we had a lot of adventuring and a few hand-to-hand fights, Jaunpur is suddenly lots of shootouts, and in the next district we'll be doing nothing but puzzle solving until the game concludes with another tedious shootout. It just seems to me that if you're trying to make an open world adventure with a sense of freedom, the logical thing to do would be to more often allow the player to choose whether they want to solve a situation with gunfire, punching, or using their brains, but the game almost never does this. Apparently David Cage is one of those people who gets nauseous playing first-person shooters, so he wanted the shooting sections to be in third-person perspective, which probably would have made them a bit more immersive, but Eidos supposedly insisted on first-person due to the popularity of first-person shooters. They should have probably just included an alternate camera, like for the fighting game aspect. Still doesn't really excuse the terrible controls, though. I couldn't really play FPS games when I was a kid. Not because of nausea, but because they scared me. Even Wolfenstein 3D made me super nervous, just the thought that enemies could be somewhere behind you and shoot you before you realized it. Like the scariest thing was to be playing the game and hear a door open somewhere in the level. I think maybe Stonekeep cured me of that, because I wanted to see more of the game so badly that I overcame my fear. And later Duke Nukem 3D and Shadow Warrior, which had more freedom of movement. So, you have 15 minutes to plant the bombs and escape the factory, but those 15 minutes only start running when you plant the first bomb. If you're playing the first time, you may want to give yourself some breathing room and not put down the first bomb until you killed everyone in this area. I bought this game at a time when buying any video game was a serious investment, and I tried for a long time to convince myself this was a good game. I mean, it starts out promising. Investigating the conspiracy around Kale is interesting, and the Nekba looks impressive, but after a while it becomes clear that Quantic Dream worked real hard to make the part that reviewers would play look good, and then shored up the rest with a hammer and a big pair of scissors. And I'm sure there's people who argue that, no, this is a good game judged too harshly, it just fell short of its huge ambitions. Here's the thing though, Omikron doesn't deliver on anything. Beyond the first section as Kale, the adventuring becomes terrible with hard to navigate, maze-like city areas, and little to no context or assistance to what you're supposed to do. The controls for each different gameplay aspect are awful. Adventuring has sluggish controls and terrible platforming, the hand-to-hand fighting has decent animations and feels satisfying when hits connect, but the camera loves getting bunched up in a corner and the difficulty is represented by the enemies simply blocking everything you throw at them. And I think I've covered how bad the shooting sections are. I mean, there were other good shooters in 1999, it's not like the formula hadn't been figured out yet. Oh, here we go into adventuring mode again for one room, and it's because of this guy sitting slumped on the floor. You can reincarnate into him in order to avoid getting shot at for a while. I'm gonna continue on this path, but show that off a little later. You'll have to attach a bomb to each of the 6 mysterious glowing cubes before your character consents to leaving this area for the next one. And these controls unlock the door leading out of this place. On to the next part, which is kind of infamous. So in this part of the factory is an infamous bug where your character simply drops dead for no reason and respawns at the start. My theory is that the train that rushes through the tunnel on the side has an invisible hitbox that is glitching out like crazy and randomly causes spikes of itself to strike your character if you go down the ramp on the right here. Try not to notice I have a few rings more here. I cut this together from multiple runs. It's unclear what happens exactly because you don't actually lose a ring when you respawn. The most reliable way of getting past this part that I found is dropping down on the conveyor belt below you. Fuck the police. Preferably just when the boxes pass under you, and making a beeline for the opening at the end. Having said that, it's not absolute. Sometimes you can just take the ramp and walk to the end without dying, and sometimes you'll still get killed on the conveyor belt. But one thing seems certain, the danger is coming from the right. If you drop on one of the boxes, you can avoid taking this hit. When you get past that, there's some boxes blocking the way through on another conveyor belt that's not moving. God, this is another area where I've spent so much time the music is just sandpaper in my ears. The radar shows nicely how an enemy just spawns out of nowhere to surprise you. The conveyor belt is moving now, so we can get through. Uh-oh, they're stuck. The eagle-eyed viewers might notice this is actually the 9th bomb I'm planting. The game doesn't tell you when you finish planting at least 8 bombs, but if you place too few, it won't let you leave the factory. But you can keep pulling bombs out of your ass if you want. So, I think the Tetra factory is probably the most obviously unfinished area in the game. Aside from the game-stopping bug, there's a real obvious seams on the acid fluid texture, and look how this rotating bridge doesn't have its anchor point set right. At least, this looks like a mistake to me. There's a couple points here where I run past the pickup for ammo or health, and it's just not very necessary. Careful of the train, because getting hit with that is obviously a one-hit kill. This here is a point where the game won't let you proceed if you haven't placed enough bombs yet. I'm seeing right through the wall texture into the green void there. That wasn't closed up properly. Now, the train stops in place and then it just despawns. And a new train starts up somewhere behind you. That is not right. Okay, almost done. There's the prototype, just a bipedal robot. It's clipping through the force field or glass tube it's in too. You have to run to each of the 3 panels to do something, then the elevator leading out comes down. Unfortunately, it also activates the Z-Techs. Fortunately, they move like prancing horses and don't shoot or anything. In fact, you can just run past the one guarding the elevator and escape. Done! But, what if I'd possessed that one guard instead? Let's go back to the game where Tehima used the truth spell to get the factory location out of Kazev. If you're gonna do this, you want to kill all the guards in the area, because while they won't shoot at this guy, I don't think even if you plant bombs, they'll turn hostile the moment you open the door out of this area. So now you're Bahimil, Tetra militia officer. As long as you didn't get into a scrape in the previous area, everyone just stands around waiting for the protagonist to show up. The bug of the conveyor belt is still a thing though, so be careful. In fact, even the Z-Techs will just idle in place while you do your business. Pathetic. Alright, back to Iman. Oh, snap. And we're out.
Well done, Nomad Soul. Now let's get out of here quickly or the soldiers will catch us.
Aw, shit.